Okay. What's up, family? It's your girl, Azealia Mize, and you already know I'm always giving you the best seat in the house. Joining me today, we have Angelica. Oh my goodness, she is such an angel, and I really had the pleasure of speaking with her on and off the cameras. I really wasn't sure how or the best way to introduce her because she just encompasses so much and she does so much, not just in her family life, but in the community around her. So I said, what best way than to have her just tell you all who she is and who she show up as today. So please help me welcome Miss Angelica, my angel. Woo!
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So, I'm a former undercover agent and I married into the cartel. Crazy story. I wrote a book about it, became a bestseller, and then sold the story to Hollywood, and I got made executive producer from it. So now I
Wow.
just do women empowerment, motivational speaking. I was published in Forbes twice, just hit CEO Dubai cover. And I'm just out there really empowering women and showing them that, hey, you may lose your entire life. I got blacklisted by Department of Defense because I published my book. And so now I'm here. I'm here speaking up and I'm loving it.
Yes,
So
and I love that for you. And one thing that's really inspiring is as you were just talking, it was like, I do this, comma, I do that, comma, I do this, comma. And in a society where people sometimes try to box us in and say, "Oh, you're working on too much. You only need to do
right.
this. You need to do that." You find the space and creativity and balance to do it all. Where does that
Yes.
come from?
The grind. It's
Yeah.
the grind. And also just being a single mom. So I always say this to people, what I didn't create in 10 years married, I created in 3 years single.
Mm.
So whenever you attach yourself to somebody that is not allowing you to thrive and it dilutes you.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I left that 10-year marriage, which he was lying, of course, we can get into,
Yeah.
I totally built an empire. And
Mm.
I started realizing that when I was in this relationship I shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
But afterwards, when I didn't have that person that was holding me back, I was able to do everything that I ever dreamed of. And the crazy thing is I always saw myself working for government because that's all I knew. And never did I think that me writing my story would hit bestseller.
Right.
Never thought of it.
And it's not just any bestseller, it's
It is.
international
It
bestseller.
is.
So we
Yeah.
have to put some respect on that.
Thank
It
you.
is international bestseller.
Yes.
And I am extremely proud of you.
Thank you.
As a woman, because it takes so much strength, it's so much courage to just step out of your comfort zone and just say, you know what, I'm going out on a limb. Like, this is unfamiliar territory for me, but I know is what I need to do.
Yes.
How do you encourage women to find that inner strength and inner power?
The first thing I would say is let go of fear of judgment. We navigate life thinking about others and not ourselves, and we worry about avoid looking bad and looking good. And that's the first thing I let go was I'm going to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. And in the book, I talk about everything. I talk about molestation. I talk about rape. I talk about drugs. I talk about, incest. I talk about generational curses within the Black and brown communities.
Yeah.
I talk about all of that. It was really a tell-all book. And there's some stuff in there that I'm not proud of, but I talk about it,
Yeah.
like abortion.
Yeah.
Because as a woman, I felt that we need to have voices.
Yeah.
And we're always being silenced. We're always being called names. And I said, I'm going to do this and not have any fear of judgment because I know there's a lot of women out there that were in my same situation.
Absolutely.
So that was really the reasoning behind it. It's like all in, right?
Yeah,
You're either 0 or
absolutely.
100.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that. That's almost like your superpower
Yeah.
because I didn't realize how many similar situations women were going through until I actually started utilizing my voice.
Yes.
And so I'm happy that you have a platform, Untying Knots.
Yes.
With a co-host, you can introduce him. You can talk about him
Yes.
as well. So tell us more about that and how you utilize your voice on that platform.
Yeah. So I never wanted to start a podcast because I had so much going on with speaking and the book and the executive producing of my life story. But Lyndon Jones, who we met 3 years ago, we had a common
Three
bond.
is your number, ain't it?
Yes,
Three is your
3
number.
years. Yeah.
3 is your number. Go
So
ahead.
everything went down 3 years ago. I
Yes.
published my book November of 21. but I met Lyndon literally a week before my divorce finalized. So Lyndon and I met, and we both bonded through our divorce because he had gone through a divorce. I went through a high profile divorce,
Yeah.
and we became friends. We just vibed.
Yes.
And then one day he's like, we literally just started in January
Of this year.
of this
Get
year. Yes, I know. Crazy,
Are
right?
you serious?
Yeah, we're serious. I'm serious. We just started and then hit 6.5 million.
Oh,
So we
my
average
gosh.
about 1.5 million a month in views. And what I tell people is we are authentically ourselves.
Yes.
We are raw.
Yes.
And we have the conversations that people want to hear but don't want to have.
Yes.
And we evoke emotion. We
Yes.
piss people off. We make people cry. And we're just authentically raw.
Yes, and I absolutely love that. And one thing that I always say for people who may be in a space of transition, sometimes taking that next step. One thing, I'm not sure your faith, but like I'm a believer in God,
course,
right?
yeah.
And so I can't help but to talk about him in each so. Even
Right.
if I try not to, he comes up like, like, okay,
Right.
guys, so here's your part. So one thing about God that I absolutely love is when we're coming out of a season, he has a way of repairing us and replenishing
Yes.
us. And so for you to be coming out of an interesting journey in your life that you probably would have never imagined and then stepping into this territory,
Yeah.
that's nobody but God who could have done
Right.
that.
I agree.
And yeah, and so it's almost like when you got rid of whatever it is you had to get rid of, he unleashed something into
Yes.
that atmosphere. And so it's like it's
Yes.
only up from here.
Yes.
It's only up from here. So what do you say about people or to people who are afraid of letting go? Because I think that's the thing.
Well, what I say is you don't allow your past traumas to dictate your present and your future.
Yeah.
And you can't get over anything without going through it.
That's
And
good.
if you see yourself living a certain life, you have your choice. We all have choices. And I remember when I decided to leave my ex, I was scared, I was afraid, but then I was like, man, I needed this.
Yeah.
This is it right here.
Yeah.
And really just be limitless.
Yes.
Because we set our own boundaries as individuals.
Yes.
And we're just so worried about what everybody else is going to say, think, or do that we just need to transfer that energy to ourselves.
Yes, and I love that because it's almost like on Untying Knots. I was thinking about this song, and it's called Graves to Gardens, and it talks about how basically we go through trials and tribulations, and then from those instances and occurrences, it just shapes us into like a beautiful like garden of things that you would have never thought like could have come from those bad experiences.
Yes.
And so I love that y'all highlight that, but also speak power and life into the platform that y'all have. So being, I don't even want to say like fairly new because it's not fairly new. Like it seems like y'all really been in the game for an amazing.
No, we literally
inspiring.
we just finished season 2, so
Yeah,
we've only
and
done
that's what I'm saying.
16 episodes.
Yes, like and that's what I'm saying. Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
There's so many different podcasters, so many different platforms that haven't even reached that. So whatever it is that y'all doing, like keep going because listen, we are locked in. We are definitely tuning in and everything like that. So I want to talk about like your experience because you did text me, right?
Yeah.
And you was like, I'm open to talk about anything and everything, right? And so you told me that you came home like 3 years ago or something, right? You've been home for 3 years. So I usually hear men's experiences about being in prison, being incarcerated, right? But I've never sat down with a woman. So if you could just tell me and just share with the audience, how did you rebuild yourself over these 3 years? Like, are you amazed at what God is doing in your life? Or are you amazed at the woman that you're showing up as today? Like, how?
Yeah.
Those 3 years, like how?
Yeah, so I'll take you through the story because it's insane.
Yeah.
So I was undercover for the feds for 2 years.
Okay.
And I left government 2013. I started my own company.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had, I'm an interrogator profiler. So I read people.
Yeah.
I'm considered one of the best interrogators in the world for the government.
Yeah.
But a humbling moment is I married into the cartel without knowing. But I want to stress this because people think that cartel members are moving drugs. And obviously my ex was doing more of the business side, kind of like the guy from Ozark.
Okay.
So whenever my ex told me what he was doing, my life just completely stopped, right? And in that moment, I actually had my gun on me, and I actually reached for my gun. I went like this.
Really?
Yeah, because I wanted to kill him. I mean, yeah. I mean, 10 years, 2 babies, a whole
Right.
life, and you
Yeah.
lied to me. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
our entire wedding, our
Oh my
entire marriage
gosh.
was a fraud. So in a split second, I said, I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to have the government cover it up. And I say this over and over again, and it triggers people because it is true. This is how, I mean, this is how it works.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, do what you do best and relax and just interrogate him. So then in that moment, I said, you know, I put my hand down and I said, tell me more. And for the next 2 hours, he tells me everything. He grew up in the cartel. He was part of the cartel. His family was part of the cartel. And I'm thinking, why would you marry a Fed? In any girl that you could have had, why would
Yeah.
you marry a Fed?
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, I had to report it. And I had to report it because I gave an oath to the government. And if I didn't and they found out, I would be sitting in federal prison. And my kids would now be with him. And at that moment, I was thinking about my kids' safety.
Yes.
So I reported it. Of course, they opened an investigation on me. It went on for 7 weeks. And to be on the other side of the interrogation table is not a good feeling. When you are it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so all of that was said and done. They said they gave me 2 choices. You either blacklisted or you disassociate yourself from the family and him, or you're blacklisted. Pick one. So I said, all right, where do I sign? I divorced him. I had one of the fastest divorces in Texas history.
Yeah.
We were living this lavish lifestyle, took my babies, left.
Yeah.
But before I left, I had him sign a piece of paper. And that piece of paper said that what he told me I was going to add into my book, because the book was already done.
Okay.
But he read the transcript of my book and was triggered by all my trauma to tell me his truth.
Wow.
So that's why he told me his story.
Right.
So he looks at the paper, and the paper said that I was just going to write everything he told me about his childhood and me finding out he was part of cartel
Yeah.
in the book, and that he was not able to take anything that came out of the book, including the movie and everything. He looks at the paper and he's like, yeah, your stupid little book. Yeah, my stupid little book hit bestseller.
Yes. International.
International bestseller.
Thank you.
And book got published, and I get blacklisted from Department of Defense. My entire government career down the drain. Literally all gone.
Wow.
But then in that moment, I went from, you know, interrogator to international bestseller. Then a year later, I sold my story to Hollywood.
Come on.
So they're going to make a movie and a series, and I became executive producer of the project.
Come.
Yeah, right?
Thank you.
Crazy. Then in the midst of that's going on, Natasha Graciano, who's considered one of the best speakers in the world, I DM'd her.
Wow.
I literally DM'd her thinking, oh, her team is just going to throw it in the trash. Well, somebody saw it and said, hey, look at this girl's story. I talked to her and I said, hey, I want to be on your stage. She's like, this was a Tuesday. She said, come to LA Thursday. I got on a plane, flew. She threw me on her stage and blew me up.
Yes.
So I always tell people the power of nurturing relationships and networking is everything.
It's so
everything.
Important. That's how we're able to sit on this couch.
Right.
And the crazy thing is, I didn't know that we both were at in Atlanta for the podcast summit. And that's the interesting thing.
Yeah.
So we could talk about a lot of few things, but one, I want to talk about what your experiences were like at the podcast summit.
Yeah.
But then I also want to talk about you like really embracing the importance of relationship.
Yes. I always tell people it's who you know, and surrounding yourself with people that have already paved the way is how you get to the next level.
Yes.
And that's 100%. So Forbes came knocking, right? I got introduced through Forbes, through Natasha Graciano, made it into Forbes twice.
Yes.
And then after that, from being on Forbes, then I got invited to London to be on James English's podcast. Then that video from that podcast hit 9 million.
Wow.
So I ended up being the second most watched of James English. James English is the Joe Rogan of London.
Wow.
But the crazy thing is I had to fly to London to tell my story, to get an international, almost like a net got casted over. And then now people knew who I was internationally, besides the book.
Yes.
So I want to stress this to people, because as podcasters, the ways of monetizing and the ways of making this your full-time job are there.
Yeah.
From that one from that one video that I did with James English, I sold $50,000 of books.
Wow.
From that one episode.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, because it's the reach, and the visibility that you get on being on podcasts and leveraging your context to elevate your own platform.
Yes.
And that right there is free game. That's the golden tool right there.
Yes. Drop the mic on that one.
Dropping free game for sure.
Real though. And I love that, because the cool thing about it is we were able to like really sit down, have a conversation, never met. But it really feels like I've known you for a minute now.
Right.
And I think it speaks volume to what you said before, being and surrounding yourself around individuals who are like-minded, who pave the way, who literally understand the direction that you're going into.
Right.
And so I want to commend you for just being an individual that takes advantage of opportunities and not being afraid. Like, you are fearless.
Yeah.
And I see that and I hear that.
Thank you.
And like, I know that it'll be so many women that's watching this and podcasters too.
Yeah.
That can really take this free game that you're giving to them right now.
Right.
So with everything that you just experienced, like, and you explained to us, are you having a part 2 with the book?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
So the first one is called Through These Brown Eyes,
Yes.
which you could get on Amazon and Audible, and all platforms you get books. That's the first book. The first book ends with me finding out that my ex was part of the cartel. The second book, which is called The Power of Forgiveness, is going to come out next year, and that starts with the federal investigation I underwent. And then, of course, my life after that.
Yes.
So it's a lot.
Series.
It really has been. It's almost like things don't happen. That when God chooses you to be, I call it a warrior, because He will throw everything and anything at you.
Come on.
But for the reason to move, touch, and inspire the masses.
Yes.
And so I always tell people, your vision and your mission should be something that you put all your energy towards, and you share that with other people.
Yeah.
And like you said, connect with like-minded people, because you can uplift each other, especially as us as podcasters.
Yeah, like, and you
there's
never
room
know.
for everybody.
It really
Yeah.
is. It really is. And that's what I love about like being in this type of space and this type of platform, because we don't have to be stingy. Like, it's really important to me to have like really good, tangible conversations.
Yes.
With decent people who just get it and who can really just be like, you know what, like, let's just chop it up. Let's just talk. Like, this is a space where we can be professional, but we could also, we may cuss sometimes.
That's right.
We're going to be really vulnerable. Like, you're going to really get a chance to understand who we are. And let's shift the gears a little bit, because we were talking about how, since we're on potty, how sometimes it's really challenging to be in the platform, right? Being so vulnerable, sharing your thoughts, intimate thoughts and feelings with individuals, right?
Yes.
And then they just get the gunning for us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So can we talk about that? Can we take some time? Okay.
Yes.
So what have your experience been in that area?
So I have been dragged, literally dragged on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, everything. I even had a reaction video from Anton Daniels, who owes me a check. And look, I'm gonna say it and say it, because so we made a episode 6, season 1. I talked about my cheating story, and he snitched it and cropped it and stitched it and everything and made me out to look like a hoe. But then it was funny, because the people came back and were like, you don't know her entire story. You're only presenting the cheating part, but you're not presenting that she did this, and that. And so I was like, look at my people.
Right, that's right. We coming. We put our boots on, we strapped up, we riding.
And I saw it was the women who said, you're out here calling her hoe and all this, but she's an international bestseller. She was on Forbes twice. Like, and literally everybody was like listing, you're only telling the part of the story
Yes.
that is beneficial to your podcast, but you're missing all this other stuff.
Right.
And then somebody said, she just started a podcast and hit 6.5 million.
Right.
6 months ago.
Come on now.
Right.
Right.
So I was like, man. So I had so many people send me that video and they're like, look at what he's doing and this. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, this comes with the territory.
Yep.
And it comes with the platform.
Yeah.
Because if people aren't talking about you, you're not doing things right.
We're doing something wrong.
You're doing something wrong.
If they're not
Yeah.
talking about us, we're doing something wrong.
That's right.
Because the reality of it is, and I was having a conversation with a couple people, the people be watching.
Yeah.
People watch.
They watch.
And you have a post on your page I absolutely love. You said the numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
The numbers don't lie. So yes, like finish telling us. So it was him doing that craziness.
Yeah, so they dragged me. Even when I went to James English, I got dragged. And that was my first dose of feeling, oh my God, people are after me. I was getting death threats. And
Really?
Yeah. And because I was talking about very sensitive subject matters. I was talking about human trafficking in Houston. And I remember, this was a year ago that I was in London. And for me to have to go to an entire different country, an entire different side of the world to talk about something that's happening in my hometown.
Right.
I was like, wow, but people were just dragging me. She's stupid, she's this, she's that. People will say everything and anything.
Oh, I believe it.
To bring you down.
I believe it.
So it's not easy. At first, you have to grow some thick skin. But then afterwards, you're like, you know what? Fuck it.
That's the part right there.
Let them talk.
That's
Let
the
them
part
talk. Because
right
guess
there.
what? You still a fan.
Still a fan. You still a fan. And you still watching.
You still watching.
And I bet you're going to send it to somebody, right, so that they could watch and get the views up
Right.
too. You get what I'm saying?
You're still watching.
You're still watching. And you're entertained by it, aren't you?
Right. Or even like people that came at me and were like, oh, your book is shitty, this and that. And I'm like, you still bought a copy? And it was still money in my pocket.
Right. And the interesting thing about that is when people just have certain things that they want to say, like I really be posing the question, where's your book? Did you write a book?
Right.
Do you know how to write a book? Do you even know how to write? Like let's just start there.
Let's just start
like
there.
Before we keep it going, let's dissect where you are, like right now.
Right.
And so you talked about having thick skin. What is it about that? Like, what led you to have that confidence and to get to that thick skin? Because I know for me, like I'm a sensitive Sally sometimes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it depends. I'm a Pisces, so I may be the sensitive side, or sometimes I may be the fuck it,
Right.
So it goes in between.
It goes both ways. Yeah.
So how do you balance and know how to shut up the quiet noise, silence the noise in the room?
I just think about my mission and my vision.
Yeah.
And if it aligns with it, I'm going for it. If it doesn't, it's just waste of mind space.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of us podcasters, we are convicted to our mission and vision, and we are here to have a voice because we're in a platform where we speak to the audiences and we give a voice to those that don't want to speak, whether it's rape, whether it's human trafficking, whether it's cartel, whether it's anything that we want to talk about, racism, all of that, slavery. And I think that we are very courageous for putting the mic up to our faces and saying what we have to say.
No, for real though.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand the process that goes into it. And so this is and I really want to know, before you know you're about to record and pod, right? How do you mentally prepare yourself? Is there a process that you go through?
Yeah, we do have a process. We do have like a slight script that we follow, and it's just really bullet points. But we already know what we're going to discuss. But the synergy and energy that Lyndon and I have, we're really good friends. We're business partners. We've known each other for 3 years. Our children are best friends.
Aww.
And and we really built an empire around our podcast. And really what we were having these deep, rich conversations behind closed doors. And we would be crying and, going through our divorces and going through the pain and everything that you deal with breaking up with your significant other. He was married for 10 years. I was married for 10 years. So we had that bond of understanding, right? And then one day he said to me, he's like, we really need to start a podcast about divorce. Because people talk about relationships and the do's and don'ts, but nobody's telling you what you do after a divorce.
Right.
And so I said, well, shit, let's start this thing and start talking about our experiences and it morphed into sex, it morphed into poly, it morphed into open relationships. We were giving the people what they were asking for.
Yeah.
So, and it just grew from there.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. So I was listening to one of many of your episodes,
Yes.
right? And then one of them you said, I actually think it was on season 2. You was like, ironically enough, like my ex-husband wasn't my type.
No, not at all.
I was just basically like giving him a chance, trying something different.
Yeah.
Right? What is your type? What's your type?
So,
How you like them?
Yeah, I only date black guys.
Ooh!
Yes.
Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa puff. Shimmy,
Yes.
shimmy, cocoa
Yes,
puff.
only black guys. Listen, there's a thing about black guys. There's a swag that they have, and there's just this confidence and that no other race has.
Yeah.
So my ex was Hispanic, and I don't date Hispanic guys at all.
Yeah.
But I do say this: I felt like he was the safe bet.
Okay.
Because he wasn't loud, he wasn't obnoxious, he was very reserved and kind of let me have the stage a little bit because I'm very outgoing, very, I voice my opinions.
Yeah.
But he checked most boxes. And I thought, I wanted to be a mother, I wanted to get married. I was like, he'll do.
Yeah.
So obviously he was not the safe bet.
Yeah.
But after him, I literally just started focusing on dating black men. That's my type.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this because I know people hate when I say this. 666. Do you know what that is?
Tell me.
Okay, so 6 feet, 6 figures, and 6-pack.
What?
Yes.
Ooh,
I know people
all
hate
the
it.
666.
Yes, people hate it. But we talked about it with another guest that we had, Elle. Shout out to Elle Ross. And she said the same exact thing.
Wow.
She said 666. And look, just like men have preferences, we do too.
Yeah.
You know how guys like, I want a fat ass and I want her to blah, blah. We have them too.
Yeah, for
So don't
sure.
get mad if you don't fit the bill.
Right. No, for real. Seriously. So it's so funny. I was having a conversation with some ladies, right? And it's called, they're called Sexually Speaking, and they have a podcast in Philly. I'm going to tag them.
Yeah.
And they have like these dialogues where it just get raw and uncut.
Yeah, that's
and
what we do too.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking about them right now as we're talking. So I just want to ask, like, y'all on my heart. Do you have any kinks that
Me?
Yeah, you have any kinks that you like?
Let me think. I'm pretty like open to things. I don't like threesomes
Okay.
with women.
Okay.
But I do with men.
Really?
Yes. Because look, again, we're going back to the double standard. Okay. So let's break it down. A man will ask his woman for a threesome with another woman for his enjoyment.
Yeah.
But why isn't the woman asking him for a threesome with another man? Because there's like, oh, that's gay.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Where it's like, well, what
I
if
don't think it is. But
nobody's touching each other?
right.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
And I'm sure people are going to drag me for this, but there should not be a double standard.
It should
If
be.
your woman is giving you permission to fuck another female and she's watching this, why can't you give her permission?
Right.
It's the same as
It's the same thing. So I know someone, I won't say who she is. I won't say who she is.
She
but
knows who she is.
She knows who she is, right? And I absolutely adore her. So she said something similar. And she was explaining an instance where she didn't necessarily have a threesome with two guys. She allowed them to both take the time to please her at the same time.
Yes.
So she was explaining that for people who may not know, because I was sucked in when she was telling me this story.
Yeah.
She was saying that she met them or whatever the case may be. It came time for her to go back. They went back to the house, whatever. They get into the shower. It's just one of the guys and her in the shower. And he's
the other
like
one's watching?
Yeah, the other one was watching. And she was just, washing it up and everything. Then when that guy got out the shower, that's when the second guy came in and he washed. And then the other guy was like washing or whatever.
Yep.
So then when she was just all washed up and everything, she said that they went into the room. And one of the guys was lotioning her while the other one was pleasing her. And I was just like, girl, like what? And so to hear you say that, it's just like, okay, maybe something to this.
Yes. I don't really like all the like sadism stuff or like all that. I mean, I'll choke you out a little bit here and there, but nothing crazy like where I make you bleed or smack you around. But there's people that are into that.
Yeah, I know.
Like the hot wax and
I know.
Somebody told me about some little electrodes that they put on your nipples and then they turn it up. I was like,
See, I wish I was bold for certain stuff. I went to the strip club one time and the stripper had lights blinking. I don't know if it was inside her, like inside which hole, I don't know, but it was blinking.
Oh,
And so I'm like,
okay.
they have those? Like, where do you get this type of stuff
Okay.
from? And so
So she was blinking from
she was blinking
from somewhere.
From somewhere. One of the holes,
Okay.
she was blinking. And so I'm like, people just get so creative. Like, how do you even
Yeah.
like find this stuff?
Well, you got to set yourself apart, right?
Yeah, right. It's like, let me just blink. Okay, fine. But I couldn't stop looking because I'm like, where is it blinking from? Like, I was just so like entertained by
that's
it.
cool. Yeah.
Okay, so you hear that, men? Like, don't be opposed to,
Yeah.
policing.
And you know what it is? And I'll say this. So I was married for 10 years and I obviously had the same man for 10 years. And I didn't realize how much of my sexuality was dormant because we did the same thing.
Yeah.
It was boring, nothing exciting. And once I left my marriage, I really started to really feel into my sexuality. And I'm in my 40s. So when you get to your 40s, you don't care about the lights on or lights off. You're at a totally different vibe here
Yes.
where it's like, I need to be pleased. I'll please you, but I need to be pleased. Because this is one thing that I realized is a lot of our followers are women from the ages of 18 to 35. And they would send us messages saying how much they were not being pleased by their men. And I was so sad.
It's a thing.
I was like, what?
It's a thing. I'm gonna let you finish, and then because it's a thing. So go ahead.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So then
Oh,
they said
Lord.
to me, and this is, we're gonna speak about this in a different episode.
Okay.
But this is what they said to me, and I was blown away. They said that they always fake orgasms, that their
God.
men can't please them, can't eat good pussy,
No.
nothing, right?
I'm
And I'm just like,
flabbergasted.
wait a minute. So why are you with them?
No, for real. Like, seriously, why
Because
are we here?
that's a really good part of a relationship is the sexual part of it, is exchanging sexual energy. And then they were like, man, I please myself. I know how to touch myself. And then I said, you know what the problem is the communication.
Yes.
Women will not speak up. If a man, he's like grabbing your head and
Yeah.
talk to that man. Tell him what he needs to do.
You like, seriously, or let him know. Or like, and then it's like, how long have y'all been together? Because it's like, what are we missing here? What is the gap? Because shouldn't you be in a relationship with someone who you feel you can confide in, you can speak with and just share? But having those type of conversations and navigating that, it could be like really challenging. So I was somewhere and I won't say where I was at, but they were having an open forum, and it's crazy that you bring this up because one of the ladies in the audience got up and she basically shared that she's been with her partner for some years and she cannot have an orgasm. And so everyone kept saying, oh, well, you need to take longer showers, or, oh, you need to do this, oh, you need to do that. And I'm just thinking like, no, she need to open her mouth and she need to like tell him how to get her to that point.
Yep.
And so I think you make an amazing point when you talk about communication. If you can encourage women that's listening right now who may be in the same situation or may not be in the same situation, maybe you can't complain. He putting it down, you good. But for those who aren't as comfortable navigating or approaching those type of conversations, what could you say to encourage them to do that?
I would say just be honest and be open and be vulnerable. And a lot, we talked about this, 56% of marriages end up in divorce. And it's always initiated by 70% is initiated by the woman. And it comes down to that communication. Like when he does something or she does something and you guys don't talk about it and it just bubbles up and then little things end up being big things. It's stuff like that. And then later on you get in a fight and you're like, well, your dick is whack. And he's like, wait, what?
So there was like tit for tat,
right. And then the shit comes out and then you totally emasculate him and he's just like, well, why didn't you tell me? What can I do better?
Yeah.
So as women, I think that we are failing in the communication department.
I agree.
Because a man is going to get his regardless. Yep. Right?
I agree.
But a woman is different. We operate on emotions and hormones and all that good stuff. And so
I think sometimes we may not say it, but sometimes we want it just as bad, if not more, than the guy. And, and initiation too, but also like that's why I think knowing who you are or understanding who you are as a person when you're evolving in a relationship is so important, because the things that once satisfied me may not satisfy me now later down the line.
And you change.
And so it's like I can't I cannot not tell my spouse, or my
Right.
partner, like, look, babe, like, because I know me. I'm not in a relationship. I'm single. But I know me. Sex is extremely important to me.
Right.
Extremely important. And I'm not a fan on cheating. At the same time, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Right.
what are we doing?
What are we
Because
doing?
if I'm not ready to leave,
Right.
I just may not leave. But at the same time, I think, like, I wouldn't be able to stay with a person if I wasn't sexually satisfied. I don't even think I would have committed to the relationship if I wasn't sexually satisfied. But it was a point in my life where I probably would have.
Yeah.
And I think that certain decisions that I made back then possibly make me come to this point where I
Yeah,
say, okay, maybe
for
I'm gonna
sure.
just be grown and just say,
Yeah.
okay, communicate what it is that I need. And so you was talking on one of the podcasts that you have of many, and you were saying people don't take enough time to say or ask what they need, what they want. And there was another one you said.
Needs, wants, and expectations.
Yeah, needs, wants, can you
Yes.
can you explain
So,
that?
okay, and then we'll get into the commitment and exclusivity part.
Okay.
Which is so good. So, what people don't understand is when you get into a relationship, everybody assumes shit.
Yeah.
Assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. Because everybody's assuming. They're
Yes.
assuming that they're pleasuring you. They're assuming that you're happy. He's assuming that you're good, all that stuff. But if you don't discuss your needs, your wants, and your expectations, when you get into a relationship, even a situationship, speak up.
Yes.
Say, what are your needs? What do you need from me?
Yep.
What do you want from me? And what do you expect from me? So you know how girls are like, I expect a guy to open a door for me. He can't read your mind.
Right.
Tell him,
Yeah.
I expect you to open the door for me. I expect you to go down on this kitty cat before you stick this dick in.
Come on now.
Which is it is a big thing. I've had so many women reach out to me on TikTok saying how their man just wants to slang it out and fuck you. And they're like, I'm not ready.
Yeah, I'm not even ready.
I'm not
Can
ready.
you warm it up a little bit first, Holiday?
And then a lot of women were talking about how there's men that do not want to please them and eat them out. And I was like, that was one of my things. It's like, I am not messing with anybody that does not
That's
want
a
to.
non-negotiable.
Right.
Yeah, that's a non-negotiable.
But it's like, you want me to be like deep throating and all this.
I think they call it like the hawk or something like that. They call it.
Yes,
They call it that. Like, I'm down here. No,
Right.
like nose running.
Yeah, running, you're crying.
You know what I mean? And you,
I mean, yeah. Like
I want to feed you too. It's a
Right.
platter here, okay?
Right.
Like, oh, you can eat
But
buffet,
they were
baby.
saying how they put all this work in and they don't want to go down on them.
Yeah.
And then they were complaining that a man just wants to turn you over and go to town on you. And they were like, I'm not even physically there yet. I'm not, mentally there yet. And a guy, the whole quickie thing. And they were like, we're just not ready. And so a lot of that, they were talking about that. And I'm just like, man, you always have to discuss that. Like, I'm in my 40s. I'm not having any more kids. I'm single.
Yeah.
But if somebody tells me I want to get married and I want to have children, and I said, look, I already have my children.
Yeah.
So let's not waste your time, energy, and our money.
Yeah.
Don't try to change my mind because I'm not going to have any more kids.
Yeah.
And that's them telling me what they expect, what they need, and what they want. So it's like, have those conversations because it's going to save you time, energy, and our heartache.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Seriously. And then you said something about commitment. You wanted to
Yes. Okay.
Let's talk about that.
Let me break this down to you.
Come on, break it down.
There's two different types, and we're gonna get dragged for this. So I can already see it. So here we go. So there's commitment and there's exclusivity. Okay. I talk it in business terms because guys can only understand it in business terms.
Go ahead, talk to him.
So I can be committed to you just like you could be committed to your business, your family, your grind, but you are not exclusive. Exclusivity comes at a different level. So I'll break it down like this. Let's say when you go into the Shark Tank, you pitch to the sharks and you say, I want an investment of whatever, 50,000 for 6% of my company. The first thing that they ask you is, are you all in on this business? And they say, no, I still work my full-time job. So then he's like, you want me to invest my money in you when you haven't even invested your full time on you. That's exclusivity.
Okay.
When we are only exclusive, it's between you and I.
Right.
Now, you can be committed to something, but not exclusive to it.
Okay.
So it's like
okay.
I tell you, you can't do no more podcasts with nobody else but me.
Yeah.
That's exclusivity. Now, we can be committed to a vision and mission,
Yeah.
but it's totally different when exclusivity comes into play.
Mm.
But I feel like in this culture, people like to keep their options open. So they won't commit to the level of exclusivity, but they commit at a very low level.
Yes.
Where it's like, I got you, we date, we're good together, we have good sex, this and this and that. But we're not exclusive.
Yeah.
Meaning when you're not around, I'm tasting something else on the side.
Right. And no, I don't want that. Like, I mean, even if you was like, damn, nigga.
But it's all things, it's all things that
I'm
need
so
to be
stingy.
discussed.
But
yeah.
So I'm gonna be honest, dating in Philly, I don't want to say it's hard for everybody. I don't
Say
wanna
it.
get
You guys
assumption.
were
Is
ranked the third worst city.
I believe it.
The
I
list
believe it.
just came out. You guys were number 3.
We were number 3.
We were number 8.
Y'all were number 8.
Houston was number 8. Listen, I don't date nobody in Houston.
That's
by
what
the
I was
way.
gonna ask. Like,
I
was
don't
gonna
date
ask how,
nobody
like,
in
is
Houston.
so it's bad.
It's hella
Damn,
bad.
Really?
And I'm gonna break it down to you. Everybody is privileged
Okay.
and feels that they can always do better. So they'll date you, but they'll keep their options open to see if they can level up.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah.
So I feel like the men in Houston are a little ran through because they have so many options. There's
Yeah.
gorgeous women in Houston,
Yeah.
very accomplished women who are not married and want to have kids, and they have the pick of the litter. So they could be like, I want her, I want her. You know what? Fuck it, I want all of them.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really what it is. See, I've noticed for myself, I'm more the type of person where if I'm going like out of the city or something like that, I love meeting people outside of the city because how I need to date, it has to be fun because if not, I'm gonna be so like sad during this season of singleness.
Yeah.
So I feel like I try to make dating or at least exposing myself to the possibility of dating, like just by traveling a little bit more.
That's how I
getting
do
out
it, girl.
there.
I'll break it
Yeah.
down to you. I have the whole pamphlet on it.
Yeah.
I do not date in Houston at all. The people I date don't even live in Houston, and we do because I travel so much.
Yeah.
I literally say, "Hey, I'm gonna be here. Can you meet me here?"
Yes.
So I dated a guy for a year, and he met me. And shout out to him. He knows who he is.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. And he met me up, and so we went to NBA All-Star. He flew me out for NBA All-Star weekend.
Wow.
Had a whole time. Then I went to Miami. He met me up in Miami.
Okay.
Then I went to DC. He met me up in DC.
Okay.
Because I travel so much.
Yeah.
So our entire dating has been on trips.
Yes.
But let me break it down to you. It makes it very difficult because that's what I'm used to now. And I can't go back to the...
I know.
I
know.
can't. And it's part of my lifestyle. I was just talking with one of my friends about this is when you live a certain lifestyle, it's very difficult for a man from a small town to really be with a woman like me. And I think the reason why we didn't work out, and I'll tell you this because I discussed this with my co-host Lyndon, he said, your lifestyle brings out his insecurities. Where the nurse or the teacher from his hometown does not bring out his insecurities because she's just going to sit at home and watch Netflix and eat Chick-fil-A.
Right.
But I'm over here globetrotting and I bring out his insecurities.
Wow.
So that was a huge realization for me because I was like, you're right. I understand him.
Yeah.
He will not commit and he will not have a long distance relationship because I bring out insecurities in him.
And that's so interesting because
But it's like, why you keep popping up?
No, that's the thing. But then it's like, come on, at the end of the day, men, y'all are just, because we love y'all, but we just like, come on.
Right.
Because instead of just being like, okay, let me do some inner work here. Like, let me do some inner work here so that way he don't miss his blessing, but I mean.
Yeah, but so what I've noticed is, especially with me and my dating style is, I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. You know what you're getting because I'm out there. I'm a public figure, so you could see what I'm doing, where I'm at. I post where I'm at.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them will get insecure unless they're in the same situation as I am. They'll get insecure because they're like, she's here, she's there, she's everywhere. She's talking to somebody else. She inviting somebody else. Whereas a girl who has a 9-to-5 and is there is the safe bet. But then you're sitting there eating your Chick-fil-A with her, thinking about
Yeah, I want
The
the
dope
trips.
ass life.
I want the trips. Like I
The
ain't gonna
dope ass
hold
life you
you.
just had with the,
Yeah, with the other girl.
with the
Like
other girl.
yeah.
So you're never gonna be satisfied
Come
because
on.
your insecurities get the best of you when you're living it over here.
Yep.
But then you go back to what you think is safe, and then you're like, this is fucking boring as
Yep,
hell.
yep. And I think a lot of people date. That's why it's like date like that. And I think that's why it's really
Serial
challenging.
dating,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's why. Oh my goodness, we got to get it together.
Like
what
she's
is
exciting,
going on?
she's cool, she's this, but she brings out my insecurities. Whether she's safe, but all we're doing is sitting here watching Netflix.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
no, like the trips sound so much more lit.
I know. And here and we go back to you choose.
Yes.
You get to choose what kind of person, what kind of life, what kind of relationship you want. And you discuss it. You know,
Yes.
now people are going to open relationships.
Yep.
And you know what we do together, we're together, but what we do apart, we don't discuss.
Listen.
So
and that's just
and I
what
think
it
that's
is.
why the polyamorous and the open relationship has now blown up, and
Yeah.
more people are open to it.
Yes, I have seen that. Like I have a couple family members, and you know they're into that or whatever. And so for a long time they just been talking, but now like I'm like, yo, so many people like are into this.
I met 2 guys that wanted me to fuck their best friends.
Really?
Yeah. 2 guys, and legit good looking, you know, making good money, all of that. And they were like, yeah, I wanna watch you get fucked by my best friend.
What?
And I'm like, what if I like the best friend more? And he's
Right.
like, it's all good.
Right. Oh my God. You wanna know something?
Crazy, right?
You wanna know something? One time I was visiting a family. I won't say where I was at. And this guy, I won't say
He
what
knows
look
who he is.
but he know who he is. Okay. He asked me like, what was the freest thing I ever did? And so I told him, right? And then he got into this whole conversation about like pegging. And I said, I've never pegged. I never would peg. And then I literally had to feel like, because I felt like I was in like a compromising situation here. Like, what is going on? I never, like, that really took me back. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so people really be
Yeah.
like into this.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a situation where a guy
Yeah.
asked you to peg?
Yeah.
Did you ever peg?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you
Yeah.
did?
Yeah. I let him have it.
see.
Yeah.
What?
Well, here's the thing. Okay. So
I love her.
yeah, he knows who he is.
You know who you are.
And yeah, shout out to him. But so this is we had built like a relationship. Obviously, we were sexually active with each other, and one day he asked me to bring one of my toys over. So I was like, I'm thinking, he's gonna use it on me. Okay, cool. Let's get lit, right? So anyway, we were drinking. I went over there. I cooked him some tacos and all this good stuff. Did all that, and then we got to the bedroom. Actually, no, we were in the shower first, and then he asked me to put it up his ass. And I thought he was joking. I was like, we were drinking, so I was laughing. I was like,
yeah.
I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Then we got to the bedroom, and he was like, no, I want you to fuck me with it. So in that moment, I said, you know what? Let me be sexually expressed with him, and let me give him this safe space for him to feel comfortable. And I was like, all right, turn around. Let me give it to you, right? But we did what we did. He enjoyed it. It didn't seem like this was his first rodeo, right? So, because it's a compromising situation. You gotta prepare. You gotta make sure everything's good, and then, you know what I mean. So anyway, afterwards, I went home or whatever, and then I was nice. The next day I said, hey, I just have a couple questions, and I said, are you gay? And he was like, no, and I'm like, are you bi? Because obviously you like me, and he was like, no. So then I phoned a friend that was like a hella freak of a friend. Yeah. She's into all types of stuff. So I phoned a friend and I asked her, and she's like, well, listen to what he says. So he said, for all the guys that are listening, he said, I like it when a woman dominates me and penetrates me. So I took it for what it was. And did I enjoy it? Not really. That's not something that turns me on. But my friend, who is a super freak, and her husband do all types of crazy stuff, she said, yes, there is a thing. Like, he may not be gay and he
Yeah.
just likes to be stimulated back there.
Yeah.
Now, a man would have a whole different perspective on that. They're gonna be like, that dude is gay.
Yeah.
If he's taking it up the ass, he's gay. But so I took his word for it, and and I said, I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
I think this is a one-time thing. You got yours, but I'm not gonna be bringing
Right.
no strap-ons over here to
Right,
this
right,
party.
right.
And that was just a personal thing. Like, I was not aroused by it. I was actually turned off by it because I was like, you're the man. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be, you got the undercarriage here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, and so I did it. That was that. But it turned me off. And then I was just like, I'm not going to be her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
And you told him basically, like, I'm not interested.
I told him,
anymore.
and I said, look, I'm turned off by it.
Yeah.
And, we had fun, but
Yeah.
this is it.
Yeah.
And he was sad about it because he was like, you were the only woman that made me feel safe and made me feel okay with this type of ask.
Yeah.
And I've realized that there is a lot of men that do like to be stimulated through their anus.
Yeah.
And it's a touchy subject.
It
because
is.
if you ask a guy, they're gonna be like, he gay. He is hella
Yeah, that
gay.
is what
If
they
you
gonna
are
say.
getting penetrated in the ass,
Yeah.
you're gay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a man who was penetrating him.
Right.
It was me with a toy.
Yeah.
So is it the same thing?
Right.
It's up for interpretation.
It's definitely a delicate topic.
It's a delicate topic.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. I have a girlfriend who just absolutely loves. She loves getting it up there. She loves
All of it.
eating a grocery. She just loves and I just be like, girl, and she is one person who I just be like, girl, I just love how when I tell you she will sexually take care of her man, like it's nothing off limits. I'm like, girl, all power to you.
Yeah.
But me, I'm more like you. I'll be like, oh yeah, I don't know but I want to create that safe space, but I also want to give someone the freedom to love and like what they like,
Right.
And so it's like, if I know that I would be falling short in that capacity, I wouldn't even sign up for the job. Like, I really wouldn't. We unpacked a whole lot today.
For sure.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be great shorts.
No, for sure. It really is. And we're definitely going to see each other this weekend for the premiere.
Yes.
So it's going to be super lit about that. I'm super excited. We already trying to figure out what we going to wear, how we going to put it together. We're going to look good. It's really going to be lit. And then we're definitely going to be at the after party for sure.
Yes. And then you have to come to Houston and be on our podcast.
Yes, I have to come to Houston.
Yes.
And the crazy thing is I love Houston. So it's really... Maybe I needed to hear this because it's really annoying because I'm like, that's one of the places on the list where I'm going to like move and like just shift around a little bit.
Yeah.
But just knowing that the dating pool there is just as hard as it is in Philly, it's just like, okay, let me just stick to
big
traveling.
Cities. Yeah, big cities is
and
hard.
just traveling.
Yeah.
Like, let me just stick to that.
Yeah.
But I definitely have to come to Houston. I would love to come on.
Yes.
We'll set it up.
Yes,
We'll definitely
for sure.
set it up. I'm happy that you came. I hope you
Yes.
enjoyed yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love this convo.
Oh, me too.
Because people don't like having these conversations.
We need to have it.
do.
We need to have it. So even though we unpacked a lot, I want to make sure it wasn't anything that we missed. Is it anything that you want to share? Maybe about what's coming up next?
Yeah.
So that before we conclude?
For sure.
Okay, let us know.
So if you are in Houston, we're having Untying Knots is having a live show November 16. Come on through. It's literally going to be a sexy night.
Yes.
Sexy night, candlelight. We're even going to have I wouldn't say a stripper. We're going to have a pole dancer. She's going to be kind of, yes. And, candlelight. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about sexual positions, cheating, all that stuff. Candlelight. So that's November 16th.
Yes.
Season 3, we finished season 2. Season 3 is about to drop. I know. So season 3 is coming up. We got some great guests that are coming on.
Yes.
And check out the episode this week because we're dropping somebody came on the show, a billionaire, talking about Diddy and Will Smith. Hella crazy.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we
So
definitely.
it's dropping.
going.
That episode's dropping tomorrow, and yeah, just my book is called Through These Brown Eyes. You can get it on Amazon and Audible, and then follow me on all social media. Is the Angelica Robles. I'm easy to find.
And
so.
you are she, you are her, you are just
Thank you.
amazing. I cannot wait to see what we do from this because we definitely have to sit down on the couch. And I strongly believe that we gave the people the best seat in the house today.
For sure.
So make sure y'all lock in, tune in, follow her, get with her. Definitely come to Houston for the live show. You do not want to miss it.
Yes.
Thank you for all of your love, all of your support. This is your girl, Zelia Mize. Love and light.
Thank you. Yay! That was good.
Yay!
Oh my God, that guy's gonna be like, you always talk about me.